Hello, welcome to today's Zoom session with Craig. Another important thing that we think it's good for new students to learn about is something called Satisfactory Academic Progress, or better known as SAP, S-A-P. This is the requirements that students must maintain in order to be eligible to keep their federal aid sources. So things like the federal Pell Grant, things like the direct student loans, Parent Plus loans, any federal aid sources, federal work study, etc. So there are several requirements that students must meet. And when they first start out, it's very easy to find yourself, kind of having some issues with some of these requirements. So typically the requirements are for undergraduate students, they must maintain above a 2.0 GPA. For certain degrees, graduate students, education majors, it's actually a 3.0 or above. Secondly, students must complete 67% or more of the courses that they attempt. Now, a lot of people think that that just means, oh, as long as I pass courses, I'm okay. I'm in good shape. But that's not necessarily true, because if students schedule classes and they late drop a course, and late drop can be anything after basically the first week of classes. Those classes that are late dropped count as attempted credits. So early on, when students don't have a lot of credits attempted, dropping a course late can really affect that percentage-wise and get you below that 67% completion rate required very quickly. Good news is, if they find that they're in that situation, they do get a warning semester. So they'll have one additional semester to be able to get that completion rate back above 67%. But at the end of that warning semester, if they're still below 67%, no more federal aid. So again, early on, when there's not many credits there in the bank, so to speak, dropping a course late or failing a course can really have a pretty negative effect. And we want to make sure students don't find themselves in that situation. The last requirement is what we call a maximum time frame. Students have up to 150% of the credits that they need to earn their degree. So let's say a student's degree is 120 credits. They can actually take up to 180. 180 is 1.5 times 120 credits in order to be able to earn those 120. So if you think about it, 67% is 2/3, reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2, so that kind of makes sense. So that part doesn't really come into play until towards the end of a student's career, but a lot of students that maybe change their major once or twice, or do a double major, or end up adding some minors, can find themselves close to that maximum time frame at the end and may not have federal aid as they finish out their degree. So here on our website, psu.edu, I'm going to show you where to access some information, and there's tons of resources and things on here for you to kind of read and understand more about the process of Satisfactory Academic Progress, or SAP. So again, we're going to click on the Cost and Aid tab up here. Over here underneath How Aid Works, we're going to click on that link. And then if we scroll down to the part here where it says Application Requirements, Enrollment Requirements, and Federal Requirements, we'll click on that Federal Requirement. And if we scroll down here now, it says what you need to know. Here's that Satisfactory Academic Progress, or SAP. Below that, it does talk about, again, dropping credits, withdrawing F grades, and some other things pertaining to all of that. So lots of good resources here on this website. Let's scroll back up. We'll go ahead and click on the Satisfactory Academic Progress, and this will kind of give you in much more detail all those things that I went over with you earlier. Good news is, if students do find themselves not meeting SAP, there is an appeals process, but they do have to have extenuating circumstances, and they would have to have some type of documentation to support that. But all the information that they need is here. Again, it goes down through, gives you the appeal process, gives you that financial aid probation, financial aid warning, also financial aid suspension. So everything is here. You can see that maximum time frame that I mentioned, 150%. The pace of completion, 67%. And then down below, it gives you the different GPA requirements. Again, 2.0 for undergraduates, 3.0 for grad students, 2.0 for law school, 3.0 for most graduate students, and also, again, the teacher certification program students. So all the information you need is here. So again, we just want to make sure that students, especially new students, when again, they don't have a lot of credits in the bank, understand that if you're going to drop a course, make sure you do so before the class starts or within the first few days, so that way it doesn't count as a late drop. Because as soon as it's a late drop, it does count towards your pace of completion, and it does affect your 67% requirement. All right. So again, everything you need is here. If you have any questions about SAP at all, again, feel free to reach out. We're available by phone, virtual appointment, or in-person appointments as well. We're here to help you out, walk you through the process if you have any questions. Thanks for joining me. And again, until next time, we are Penn State Office of Student Aid.